You're listening to Women in Wellness, a program to help you create gorgeous growth for your blissful business in health and wellness. I'm Dr. Gabby, holistic health expert and founder of Women in Wellness, a one-of-a-kind course and community designed to empower and inform you about how to build a purposeful and profitable holistic business. I'm so excited for today's interview. I've invited a terrific guest, Amy Aaron. Amy is a wellness coach and founder of Imagine Nutrition, where she helps individuals reach their health and lifestyle goals through her one-on-one personal coaching. Amy transformed her own life using these methods and lost 75 pounds, came off all her medications, and found new energy and self-love during the process. Welcome, Amy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you. And I'm so astounded by your story. I'm not someone who's ever gained a lot of weight and lost a lot of weight, but I watch like some of the programs on TV where they do this, and I have some clients who have done this, and I'm always amazed at the process. So can you share a little bit with us about your journey and how that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2007, I was 215 pounds, just really struggling. It was a really dark time in my life, just really down on myself. I was a 911 dispatcher, working crazy holidays, nights, weekends, you name it, I was working it, and just really unhealthy. I was on 3 kinds of antidepressant medications and a seizure drug to try and help my migraine headaches, which I had been suffering from since I was a little girl. And so it just kept getting worse and worse as I kept getting more and more unhealthy. And so as I went along, I just thought to myself, something's got to give. There has to be a breaking point. And I think the day that I met that breaking point, which this is crazy, but my little girl was 4 years old, and I remember this day vividly. She ran up to me to hug me, and she wrapped her arms around my one leg and said, "Mommy, your leg is fat," not knowing what she was saying. And that broke my heart. I cried for 3 days, totally depressed over the whole situation, because where I came from to where I was amazing. I was actually a dancer for 16 years. I taught ballet, I taught hip hop, I taught jazz, and that was my life. And so when I got married and I started taking care of a husband and brought 2 kids into the world, it was almost like I forgot how to nurture myself and how to love who I was. And so I wasn't taking care of me. I was eating bad. I was eating 1 meal a day, drinking Pepsi all day long, not sleeping but maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. And I was truly lost. I really did not care if I woke up in the morning. It was one of those struggles where I didn't have the energy to keep up with myself, let alone keep up with 2 kids. And so I just said to myself, something has got to change. So I thought, okay, here it is. I'm going to go to a gym. I'm going to get a personal trainer, and life is going to be magical again, right? I failed tremendously. I was there for 2 months. I worked out with this trainer 3 days a week, 2 hours, and I did this in the morning right after I got off of midnight shift. And so I would go work out, and then I would eat horribly all day long, and it just didn't work out. And so at no point did anyone really target the nutrition side of things with me. And so in January of 2008, my personal trainer came to me with the Herbalife product line. And mind you, I have tried everything. Things that weren't even the things you should be trying, I tried. Things from doctors, I tried. Things that were something that someone made up on Google, I tried. So there were just all these things, and nothing would work. And so I told her no 3 times, and I was very clear. It was absolutely not, you're crazy. Absolutely not, those products will not work. And then the 3rd time I gave in. I said, you know what? If it will totally get you to leave me alone, I will try the products for a month. And so I started on the products with the goal in mind that she was going to fail and that the product was going to fail. And
Yay, what a way to start out.
Right, go Amy. And so the only thing that failed was me, but I failed in the good way. So I lost 50 pounds in 5 months. I came off of 3 antidepressant medications, and then that got my attention. At that point, I just really started plugging in and saying, okay, how can I better me? How can I really better me? And I mean mind, body, and spirit, not just the body, because I knew that if I didn't get my head straight, nothing else was going to fall into place. And at that point, I was not straight. I was all over the place. I always tell people I was like a lightning bolt that just would strike wherever it wanted to go. And so I really started to plug in. And I always say this, you know, when I found my faith, when I knew that there was something out there bigger than I was, something that created me, then that was when everything started to fall into place. And I get holy bumps. I always call them holy bumps. So I get holy bumps when I start to say the right things, because I know that that is that energy coming back to me, and God is saying, you're doing good, you're doing good, stay on this path. And so I kept going, kept plugging in. A year into the journey, I lost 75 pounds, and I came completely off of all medications. And it's been that way. It's been that way for almost 7 years now. My migraine headaches are controlled with good nutrition, supplementation, essential oils. I control all of those things with all those holistic ways of healing. So I always say, if it was created and it's in the earth, then that's what we're supposed to take. We're not supposed to take these man-made crazy things that we can't pronounce. And so, yeah, so that's my
I love your story. There's so many things in your story that I think people are going to really resonate with. I mean, there's this whole idea of you stop taking care of yourself. It might be that you have kids. It might be that you get a promotion at work and you're working a lot of crazy hours. It might be that you're commuting or a parent gets ill, like whatever it is, right?
Right.
We sometimes neglect ourselves. Our self-care gets kind of pushed down on the list. And I think that that's something that really makes sense. The other thing that you said is you were going to all these doctors, you were getting all these medications, you were going through like the traditional system, and it was failing you. No one was talking to you about the nutritional stuff. No one was helping you make a lifestyle plan so that you could get back to balance and get back to health, right?
Yeah, no one. And that's where I was lost. I thought, I'm doing all the things that they say, the traditional ways of doing things, and nothing is working. And truly, I felt so lost. You know, those old fashioned rugs that they weave together? I felt like each day a little piece of that was unraveling. And so I was just turning 30 years old. And I remember sitting at my dining room table and crying with my two best friends and saying, I can't imagine how I'm going to feel when I'm 50 if this is the way I keep going. Like, I don't want to live until I'm 50 if this is how I am when I'm 30. And so I knew that I had to dig deep, and I really had to take it upon myself to figure it out, because what I was trying wasn't working. And so, and what I learned over the years, over 7 years of this journey, is when you dig deep, things get ugly, but oh my gosh, at the end, the picture is so beautiful, because you have to dig through all the mess to get to the good stuff. It's like the diamonds. The diamond has to go through the flame before the diamond is a diamond. It's pretty ugly in the very beginning.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really powerful. So during these 7 years, like what were you doing to like educate yourself and inform yourself and learn everything that you needed to know so that you could help people?
Right. So I always like to say I'm like a sponge. I think I might have said that in my interview questions. I'm like a sponge. I like to take in everything. So I listen to everybody. I listen to what everyone has to say, and I pick through that to see what is going to work for my business and what is going to work for my clients. So my business actually started in a really crazy way. I always know when it's the right path, because it's not the one that I thought it was going to be. And so I remember I picked my little girl up. I'm driving down the road. My little girl's in the back seat of the car. She says, Mommy, you should put a smoothie bar inside that building right there. And she was only 4, and she points over, or she was 5. She points over to a building, and it's for rent. And that same morning, I had just had a conversation with my mentor saying, I think I need to open a business. I think I need to open a wellness business. And here my 4-year-old or 5-year-old, not even knowing any better, points to a building, which was super cute, little building. And that's what turned into my first nutrition club. And so it was this nutrition club in a town of 4,000 people. And I just really started spreading the word of good nutrition and teaching people that, yes, it's hard, but once you get it started, it's so easy. And so utilizing the Herbalife products, I just implemented that into my business, and then started coaching people and going to all the Herbalife trainings that I could possibly plug into. I've plugged into all kinds of nutrition trainings online. Just there's a multitude of different places that you can go to get those sources. And so what I truly have found in my journey is nutrition is amazing. There, you can get all scientific with it, and I can read labels, and I can do all this stuff and be like that guru. But what I love more is when people come in and their head is down and they don't feel beautiful. They don't like the person they see in the mirror. They don't like the person they wake up to. Those are my people. Like I always say, those are my people. They come in and I can wrap my arms around them and I can love them until they can love them. And when they love them, that's when everything falls into place. And it's really just about being there for them, being that person, that one-on-one, and just gradually giving them, hey, try this for your nutrition. Take out the soda. It's not good for you, and this is why. all those just little key points. And when you love on them and you build that relationship, your business falls right where you need it to fall. And then you just keep expanding and growing. And
That's so cool. What was that like when you opened up this shop and you started making these smoothies and all the people started coming in? I mean, what was that like?
Crazy because I was still a 911 dispatcher. So
My
I was
God.
still working 40, 50 hours a week. So what I would do is I would work
Because you
midnight.
had so much extra time to start a business.
Yeah,
Right?
it's funny because I always say God put it on my heart, so I did it. And then I said, at some point during this craziness, he's going to say, jump off the cliff, I've given you wings. And so I was just waiting for that moment and waiting. And so for a year and 6 months, I worked as a dispatcher. So midnight shift, it was midnight to 8 in the morning. I would go straight to my nutrition club and work till 4. I would go home, take care of the kids for about an hour. I would try to lay down. So I was getting literally 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night and then going right back to work as a dispatcher. And I always throw that in there because dispatching isn't an easy job. It's one of the higher stress jobs out there. But I do believe that that job turned me into the person I am right now because I learned how to handle stress, how to deal with things that most people in their lives wouldn't. My little girl, when she was 9 months old, had a febrile seizure, and I'm the one who took the call when she stopped breathing. So my husband called 911 and I was the dispatcher to answer the phone, and this
Oh
is
my
my own child. So
God.
I knew that if I could push through that, if I could sit up tall,
Wow.
put my hands on the computer, dispatch units to that call, then I could do anything in life. You can do anything at that point because you realize, you know what, I have 2 options. I can be this little girl's mom right now and have a nervous breakdown and drive 100 miles an hour to the emergency room, or I can sit forward, send to the people who need to go to her and help her, and then go to her when I can. And so those are just little things. And so when I opened that nutrition club, it was like, at first I was like, I don't even know what I'm thinking, but I'm totally do it because I had faith. And so I did it, and it was crazy. Girl, I had like 30 shakes coming in a day. I had people coming in to learn about the product, people coming in wanting to lose weight, people wanting to come in and just be loved on. And it was beautiful. And this little nutrition club was only 700 square feet. So it's like a room. And I turned it into this little coffee shop, and it was so stinking cute. And it was perfect. And so I had that for a year and 6 months. I did that as a dispatcher, and then I sold it. 2 months later, I sold it to a girlfriend who started her business there, and then I moved on to a larger location. So it was beautiful.
Wow, that's unbelievable. You have so much courage and so much faith. A lot of people, they get these ideas and then they think about it for 10 years and then maybe they do it or maybe they don't, But to
Yeah.
really just make the leap, I think even that is just so amazing. So during this process, did you have any mentors or coaches or anybody that was really inspiring for you?
Yeah, so my coach, and I'm going to try to hold it together when I talk about her. So Cheryl was my personal trainer at the gym. And when I first walked into that gym, I had no idea what I was walking into. I was so fearful because it's a gym and I'm a girl and girls don't I don't like gyms. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was walking into. But it was a Christian based women's gym, like 90% women. And I felt something at the time. I had no idea what that energy was that I was feeling. But literally, the connection between Cheryl and I has been amazing. This woman met with me 3 times a week. She would pull me into her office. And it's so funny because at that time, I had this huge wall just totally built up around me. I was protecting myself. And she would talk to me about life and talk to me about God. And I would look at her like, you are absolutely out of your tree. I'm out. Like every single day. And so each time she said I would sit a little bit longer. It may be 5 seconds, it may be 5 minutes, but I would sit a little bit longer. And she said, your face started to change. And I could tell that you started to open up to me and started listening to me and started feeling that. And so it was just a matter of time before she finally got in there. And so she was my personal trainer. Then she became my Herbalife wellness coach. Then she became my business partner. And I mean, I always say we became soul sisters somewhere in the middle of that because God said, well, this is where you came from and this is where you came from. And I need for the 2 of you to be one. And so we've been together ever since. So we've been together for the last 8 years from the day that I started Herbalife, from the day she started Herbalife, we've been together. And so basically, I like to say, and this is a old quote that I found, and I know I put this in our questions, but I truly believe that a mentor or a good friend is the person that knows the song in your heart, or they know your dream, they know your journey, they know what like drives you and pulls you forward. And that person is the one that's there. So when you forget, or when fear starts to come in, or when I like to say Satan starts to come in and try to grab a hold of that, they can recite that back to you and they can sing that song to you. And that's the type of person that you want as a mentor or a friend, as a coach. And
Oh, that's so beautiful.
yeah, yeah, it's
You're
great. I
so
love it.
lucky to have found that. I know I hear from a lot of women that they feel this sense of competition, or they feel that sort of catty thing between women. And this sounds like a very beautiful, unconditional relationship.
Well, and we're both two different ends of the spectrum. So I'm really creative and I can, create a video and a PowerPoint and create flyers, and that's who I am, and I can do those things. And she's a whole nother side of that, right? So we mesh well together. And the thing that's beautiful about it is if you can learn other people's personalities and you can focus on what they are good at, that is when the friendship starts to build that way. When you can actually focus on saying, okay, she's super good at that, let her handle that and I'll take care of this. And always having an open dialogue with one another. So when we step on each other's toes, we don't embed that, because in the very beginning we did. Just like most people, when they have a friendship, you kind of push that down. You're like, I'm not going to say anything to her. You know what I mean? But now where we are in our friendship, we're open about that, because we know we're human. We make mistakes and we say things that we don't mean, and maybe we snip, or you know what I mean? And so then you just work your way through that, and it's open dialogue and just knowing that it's okay to be human. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, I love that process and that friendship. And I know that my experience over the years is those friendships and those partnerships really gave me a lot of support and a lot of motivation to keep going when I didn't want to keep going, or to find new resources within myself. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to create this women in wellness community, is because I think there's just so much value in having like-minded people that you can work with, share with, communicate with. I'm wondering, could you tell us a little bit about your experience of our group that we've been doing together, the Women in Wellness Club?
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. So our call is Sunday mornings, and mine is at 7 because I'm in Kansas. So I get up at 6 and I get ready, and I'm very excited. And 7 o'clock in the morning for a call is not usually me. I'm right now, this is my time. Like, I'm sparkling right now. You know what I mean? Like, this is my time. But in the mornings, yeah, I'm a little sluggish. But what the group has given me is drive, because a lot of the women have maybe been in the business longer than me. They've been around a little bit more. And in the very beginning, I started to let fear kind of set in, like, ooh, they've done so much, or oh, they have a fancy website, or oh, they're creating apps. Like, and so then I start kind of like, oh my gosh, do I have to do all of that? But what has driven me more is when I take that step back and say, look at where you're going to be in 10 years. Look at what you're going to be able to do. Look at
You're
how many
going to be there in 6 months. Forget about 10 years.
And
I'm going to be calling me up next month like, I made an app.
Yeah, so I'm excited because they're driving me to be a version of me, to be better. And so that is what we want in life. We want that personal development. We want those people to kind of pull us, and that's what they're doing. That's what that whole entire group, the energy from that call is amazing. It's like the best way to start your Sunday morning out. Usually it was my church. Now I'm like, oh, dang, this call gets me fired up. And then I go to church and those people are like, whoa, what's up with her?
What was she smoking before she came here?
Yes, no kidding.
And I love that you love the transformation process, because I love that too. And so do you have any clients or anyone that you worked with that you saw big changes, you saw them make those changes, and it was really inspiring for you?
Oh my gosh. So you are going to try to make me cry on this. Okay, so Jean Nash.
Okay.
Absolute hands down. Like, I think she's beautiful. I love her spirit. I just love her entire being. And so she started with me very hesitantly, and those are always the good ones, or the hesitant ones, because you're like, oh, you're mine now. So you kind of reel them in, right? And so I got her in. She came into the nutrition club. We met. And I truly believed that there was something about her that she could not see. She could not see that light. She could not feel it. She was lost. She had been a long life of depression on lots of medications since she was a teenager, very, very overweight, struggling so much that she couldn't walk more than about 5 feet before stopping, because she has bone on bone, her knees. Like, there's no cartilage, there's no joint support, there's nothing in there. And so she was just really struggling. And I just knew at that moment that we would form a bond with one another. I could feel it. And so I started coaching her. We started going through the process. The first few months she was on again and then off again and then on again. And I would drive every single Thursday to her office. And I call it her cubicle world because it's like all these little cubicles in this big open space. And so I would drive there and I would weigh her in, and we would talk about her food journal, and we would talk about how her week went. And there were a few weeks in a row where I was losing her. She was kind of just wandering off into no man's land. And so finally I just, usually I'm real spunky and upbeat. And I said, okay, here's the deal. If you want my time, you're going to have to give me something in return. And I always believe it's like a chess game. You make a move, I make a move. So until you make a move, I'm not coming back. And that got her attention. She did not want to lose me. She didn't want to lose that friendship. She didn't want to lose that listening, that ear that I was giving her, that shoulder to cry on.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said to me, I got this. I'm not going to mess up. I promise. And so I came back the next week and she was down 4 pounds. And I came back the next week and she was down. And so every single week from that day, she has been down in her weight, and it has been beautiful. So she's lost 95 pounds in a year.
Oh my God.
She's still going strong. But the most beautiful part is when she gets new clothes and she sends me pictures and she's like, yeah, look at my pants. And like she went to a New Year's Eve party at her business and she looked stunning. And I said, oh my gosh, you look beautiful. And so those are the emotions that drive me. Those are the emotions that bring me in and say, this is why I do what I do every day. So all the hard times, there's times when it's not working and there's, you're struggling with finances, but those are the moments when your client has tears in their eyes because they lost 5 pounds. And so that's what drives me. And
I love that. I love that. And I think that so many people can relate to this feeling that are, people that are working in the health and wellness, they can relate to this feeling of fulfillment that you get from helping somebody else. I mean, I think that's why most of us are doing it, right? This is not like a hedge fund like job. This is like, this is like a service job. So do you have any advice for other women who are just starting out in their health and wellness business? Like any tips you would give them?
Oh my goodness. I would always say, don't listen to the negative voice in your head, because they're always in there. They're up in there. They have arguments with one another. Like, don't listen to them, because so many times I could have stayed in my fearful place. I could have stayed in my non-energetic place. I could have stayed there. And where would I have been now? I just turned 39. I would have been 9 years in and still in the same place. And what I would say is just don't do that. Just one step. That's all it takes. 1%. 1% every day will get you to your goal. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there, because your journey is not someone else's journey. And so I truly believe that there could be 5 different routes to the same location. One is going to be super slow and the other one is going to be insanely fast. Go with the one that works for you. So wherever that is, it takes one step at a time. And so the only other thing I would say is when you fall down, because you will, life is not perfect. Business is not perfect, right? Being a mother is not perfect. A wife is not. You have to work at these things. So when you fall down, just fall forward. Don't fall backwards. Fall forward. Get back up. Wipe your dress off. Wipe your knees off. Put a bandage on your scrapes and move forward. Even if it takes you dragging yourself forward, just move forward, because we don't want to back up.
Yeah, and that goes right back to what you were saying at the beginning about being human. This is about being human, right? It's not about being perfect.
Yep.
So if people want to find you and they want to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing, I know you have a Facebook page and things like that. How can people find you?
Yeah, so they can totally check me out on Facebook. I do a lot of posting there. It is Imagine Nutrition on Facebook. And then I also have a website, which is actually for our Herbalife product line. It's called healthystartshere.net. And so they can totally go there and fill out the little survey, and then that will give me their information and we can chit chat back and forth. But yeah, absolutely. Check me out on Facebook, because that's really where I
check her out. Check her out. Oh, it's so awesome to have you here with me, Amy. I'm so happy that you're part of our community and that you're sharing all this with everyone. And I hope that everyone connects with you and continues to follow what you're doing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. You can join the Women in Wellness Club at women-in-wellness.com.